An ancient temple is discovered in the Middle East. It's thousands of years older than the Egyptian pyramids. It dates from long before the earliest civilizations, like the Mesopotamian, the Minoan, and the Mayan. It was built when mankind was still in the Stone Age.
This is extraordinary.
But who built it, and why?
They are not from our world. They are human-like, but they are clearly not humans.
To solve the mystery, one man travels back 12,000 years, to the end of the last ice age. Long before we discovered pottery, writing, or the wheel.
It's like discovering that a 3-year-old child's built the Empire State Building out of toy bricks.
For millions of years, mankind evolved slowly. We survived by hunting and gathering our food. Then, around 12,000 years ago, something extraordinary happens. Our development speeds up. And in a comparatively short space of time, we go from the Stone Age to walking on the moon. What was it that made us change so dramatically? Dr. Jeff Rose is an expert on early human history. He's spent years studying this mysterious turning point in our cultural evolution. He's now come to Turkey to investigate an astonishing discovery that might finally explain how and why we took that giant step out of the Stone Age to become who we are today.
Walking on the moon was not the greatest leap mankind ever made. It was probably learning how to farm and produce our own food.
The theory is that farming allowed us to settle down, to develop religion and build temples. Settlements grew into cities and then into powerful civilizations. Without having to hunt and gather for every meal, we had time to think, to invent, and evolve out of the Stone Age.
At least that was the theory until now. Something pretty incredible has been found here in Turkey that puts a whole new spin on our cultural evolution. I cannot wait to see it.
Turkey is an ancient land that bridges Europe and Asia. It's part of the Fertile Crescent, a swathe of the Middle East and Africa that includes modern Egypt, Israel, Syria, and Iraq. In this green belt, humans first settled, and the world's earliest civilizations arose around 5,000 years ago. And here is where the find has been made, at a place called Gobekli Tepe. Gobekli Tepe means Potbelly Hill in Turkish. Local people believe the hill to be sacred, perhaps with good reason. Professor Klaus Schmidt is a renowned German archaeologist. In 1995, beneath this hill, he made an astonishing discovery, and he's been excavating it ever since.
Hi, Trev. How are you?
Hi, Klaus.
Welcome here at the site.
Great to meet you.
Your first visit here?
This is extraordinary. I mean, I've never seen anything like this.
What Professor Schmidt found buried under the hill was a cluster of huge stone pillars decorated with strange carvings. He knew he'd only uncovered a small part of the site. To find out how big it was, Professor Schmidt commissioned a survey with ground-penetrating radar. The survey covered close to 90,000 square meters, nearly as big as 20 football fields. The radar transmits radio waves into the soil, which bounce back when they hit a buried object. The variations in the reflected signal produce an image of what's underground. This enables Professor Schmidt to roughly establish the overall size of the site.
How big is a site?
300 by 300 meters.
300 by 300, it's massive.
With extreme care and patience, Professor Schmidt and his team have so far excavated 4 huge stone circles. Each one is surrounded by a high stone wall, broken at intervals by large T-shaped pillars. In the middle are 2 massive monoliths, up to 5.5 meters tall. These enclosures don't look like anything in existence today. What could they be used for?
How do we know nobody lived here?
It's clearly not for daily life.
Professor Schmidt has worked extensively on other prehistoric sites in Turkey and is very familiar with the kind of dwellings Stone Age people built. He believes Gobekli Tepe looks nothing like them. Perhaps the key to understanding this place lies in the impressive carvings on the pillars.
There you see a masterpiece of craftsmanship and high relief. Most probably a leopard.
Is that all one block?
It's one block made from one stone. Very well done work, very naturalistic. We can see the ribs are clearly depicted on this animal. The nose, the muscles, the teeth, an aggressive habit.
The craftsmanship is amazing. I mean, it looks like it could have been done yesterday.
Yeah.
So what is the significance of the animals here at the site?
As animals depicted in high relief seem to be more like guardians of the T-shapes.
The T-shaped pillars reveal tantalizing clues to understanding Gobekli Tepe. The markings on them show that they're not just stone monoliths.
They are stilized humans.
These are stylized humans?
Yeah. So, seeing the T-shape being the human head seen in profile, the body here, and now the arm is coming down, and the hand is depicted here with its fingers, and a belt is shown below the hands.
So he's got another one here.
Yeah, that's the second hand here, a belt buckle here, and a loincloth hanging down, a fox skin.
So they're sort of standing,
yes, it's standing
this
like
way,
this
like
with
this.
a loincloth.
But the pillars are all faceless. There is no trace of any eyes, nose, or mouth.
And this, I think, is a sign that they are not from our world. They're coming from a spiritual life, so they are not humans. They are human-like, but they're clearly not humans.
If they're not human, who or what do they represent?
Are these people, or the ancestors, or deities?
Maybe they are the earliest gods depicted in mankind.
Most archaeologists believe that if a monumental building has representations of gods, it's likely to be some kind of sanctuary.
So would this be the oldest temple in the world?
This is the oldest temples in the world, yeah.
How old is it?
11,500 years they are standing here.
Gobekli Tepe is much more sophisticated than Stonehenge, and yet it's 6,000 years older. It's 7,000 years older than the Egyptian pyramids. But there are more enclosures still buried beneath the hill. Some of them might be even older than that. What puzzles Dr. Rose is that at that time, around 12,000 years ago, mankind is in the Stone Age. We know how to make fire, but we haven't discovered the wheel, and we still haven't domesticated pack animals to help us. So how could we have built something so monumental?
To build a place like this would have required a pretty sophisticated level of organization. You need a massive workforce of stonemasons, diggers, quarrymen, hundreds of people to bring the stones up and set them in place.
So who are these Stone Age people who can build such a place?